Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel, and welcome to a very nice chess games that I played last week in a very strong tournament. I managed to finish on the third place. I was very satisfied with this accomplishment because many great players were playing in this tournament, and I only lost one game against the best seeded player, Matija Ostovic. Then also managed to win many games and only played a couple of draws. So I was very satisfied. I had the same point score like like the guy on the second place. So just additional criteria separated me for maybe getting this second place. But I was, as I said, really satisfied in the tournament. I faced a very strong opponent, Zvonko Petrović. He used to be a young champion in former Yugoslavia. So, if you're familiar with the Croatian history, we used to be a part of the Yugoslavia country, and Petrović was one of the best junior players in that country. So I had a tough opponent, and I managed to win the game with a little bit of luck, I have to admit it, because Zvonko Petrović outplayed me, I think, in the opening, but managed to make one mistake, and I used this moment and won the game very effectively. So I have to tell you many things now. I've changed also my club. I used to play in the Croatian second league, but decided to go now into the Croatian third league, playing back with my brother-in-law. Know him, Antonio Radic, the famous agatmator. My brother is playing now in the same club, my nephew. So I think we'll have sort of a family chess club, and it will be a great thing for me. Because if you're also familiar with me, if you know more about me, I'm a police detective. That's my work. I use too many working hours, I think, and I don't have to have so much time to go in regular tournaments, and also to travel so much to go in tournaments. So that's why I had to change the club. I think it's for the best. I have to also spend some time with my family. That's also a reason why I didn't make videos so for 1 week. So okay, but we'll continue in the 2020. Wish you again a very happy new year. I hope that you had some great time with your family. And let's see now the game. I played here with the white pieces against Zvonko Petrović. Here I played d4, knight to f6 by Zvonko, knight to f3, and Zvonko Petrović was also my former club colleague. We played in the same club, Svet Ivan Žabno, as I said, but I decided to change the club. So here g6, knight to c3, and now d5. Now bishop to f4. Here bishop to g7, e3, still common theory, and now castling. I played bishop to e2 with the idea to play my common berry attack with knight to e5, then h4, h5. This is the main idea, trade off the bishops on h6 somehow, and maybe deliver checkmate through the h file. These are, of course, the strategical elements of this particular opening, but there is one rule I think you should follow when you play the berry attack as white. When your opponent, for instance, plays something like c6, e6, b6, a6, whatever it does, the knight from b to d7, or similar ideas, I recommend you to go into this common flank attack with h4, h5. But there is one situation when you shouldn't go, I think, into the berry attack. It's the move c5. When your opponent plays the move c5, it's a very aggressive line that Zvonko played against me. I recommend you to play a calm game, simply castling, and then try to focus here on the e5 square. Try to simply build your attack around this very important square, of this very important central square. And that's why, because with this move c5, black has already challenged your center. That's the main difference, and then it's not so good to launch a flank attack because your center is in danger. So a flank attack is basically only possible when the center is fixed. So with this move c5, Zvonko played very aggressively. I think it's the best line for black also when you play against the berry attack. Here knight to e5 I played anyway. As I said, my attack will simply be coordinated around this e5 square. So c takes d4, e takes d4, queen to b6. Here attacking the b2 pawn. There is also one tricky line. If you try here, you can try a3. If your opponent takes, then you can trap the queen. It's a very funny thing here if your opponent falls for this. But I decided to play knight to a4 here because of course, after a3, your opponent doesn't have to take. Now bishop to f5 is the serious threat. Now if after castling, your opponent can take, because the same scenario cannot happen because the c2 pawn is hanging. So these are the differences. So that's why I didn't play this move a3. I didn't want to weaken further my pawn structure. I played the move knight to a4, and now Zvonko plays the accurate move, queen to a4, a5, attacking the king. I played c3, cutting off this attack and also protecting my knight. So here knight from b to d7, here castling, and now knight to e4. You see, both sides are simply playing this outpost, trying to hang on to this central control. Here for black, knight to e5 is not so good, because I play simply a positional pin, waiting this knight to go somewhere and simply trade off. After king takes g7, here I think my bishop, my light square bishop, is a little bit better, because here if we watch in the center, this pawn is on a light square, could be an object of my attack. So with the bishop to f3, attacking the d5 pawn, maybe here b4 possibilities, or also trying maybe outposts on c5. So, but in the game Zvonko played knight to e4. I play f3, kicking away the knight, knight to d6, and now knight takes d7, bishop takes d7, and now knight to c5. Simply fixing my knight on this very active square. And after bishop to c8, here I think it was a critical point of the game. I didn't play the best move, I think, here, but I thought that this move is very important because it weakens the pawn structure. I played bishop to d6. After e takes d6, I still have a slightly advantage in this position, because these two pawns are simply weaknesses. They're simply attackable by my bishop. For instance, we can try f4, bishop to f3, attacking this pawn on d5, and also this d6 could be a long-term weakness. So that's why after e takes d6, I played knight to d3, and now Zvonko played the very good move, bishop to f5. And maybe I should have played here something like g4, kicking away the bishop after trades of bishops. Queen takes d3 we go into a game with this opposite colored bishops, but I think although I have this dark square problem around the king, still I don't like black's position here with this two weaknesses. So that's why I think I'm slightly better here. But instead of this, I played f4, and this was the mistake because I allowed queen to d8, and now after bishop to g4, I tried to get rid of one of these bishops, and now Zvonko played a very nice move, bishop to e4, and now this bishop is very active here. The idea is to play f5, and this bishop would be a monster bishop in the center, so that's why I had to play f5 here, not allowing f5 for black. That's why queen to g5, and now I simply took f takes g6, h takes g6, and now queen to f3, bishop to f3. So as I said, one of the main ideas when you play against the bishop pair is to get rid of at least one of these bishops. So this could be a strategical idea for you when you face dangerous bishop pairs. So that's why bishop to f3. If this game goes into an endgame after something like bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, still I can play against these two weaknesses. So that was my idea. And as I said, the tempo was very fast, so you had to calculate all of that. So after bishop to f3, Zvonko played bishop to h6. Now the idea is to attack me through the dark squares. I have several dark square problems, and now I simply took bishop takes e4, and here Zvonko should have taken here d takes e4 after knight on f4. Black is slightly better here. I think the bishop is better because in the next move you can try d5, cementing your supported pass pawn. And one of the white ideas now is to simply try maybe to play a blocking system, create sort of a blockade here against this advanced pawn on e4. But Zvonko played a tactical move. He played here queen to e3, and this was a mistake because now I have knight to f2, and I'm protecting also this bishop on e4. After d takes e4, I simply played rook to e1, attacking the queen, and now I grabbed the pawn, and I was now very satisfied with my position. And here, queen to g5. And there is one reason why I'm showing this game, because I think this game could be really instructive for those who have troubles maybe to deliver games in which you basically have the advantage, in which you maybe pawn up, but you don't know what to do, how to win these games. And there is one rule I follow when I'm pawn up. Basically, one of the ideas can be to trade off as many pieces as you can, but the improvement of the pieces, improvement of the position of the pieces, is one of the most important principles that you should apply. Here I tried simply to improve my position. So let's see how I did it. Queen to e2, simply improving the position of the queen, and also getting use of our e file, because it's this only open file, and that's why queen to e2. So bishop to g7, now rook to e1. You see, improving all of these pieces. The knight, I think, it's very good. It's at least defending my king. Now I have a battery on the e file. Here after b6, I played simply queen to d3. I wanted to play more freely with my queen. Now maybe with some possibilities to play d5. After that, maybe c4 and b3, getting all of the pawns out of this diagonal, because if I get these pawns out of this diagonal, then this bishop is basically useless. It cannot attack my pawns. So that's why queen to d3, this was my idea. So after queen to a5, I played a3. So you see, Zvonko is trying here to play sort of a minority attack, maybe something like a5, b5, and maybe b4, cracking the position here, my pawn chain, and then this bishop can be really dangerous. So I played after queen to a4, I played simply g3. Now I want to improve also the position of my king, because I want to move up with my rook here and cover the second rank. It's also one of the strategic elements in middle games or in the later stage, in the end games, to move up, level up with your king. So getting your king on the second rank and also protecting this pawn. This pawn on b2 is the most important pawn now in my pawn structure, because it covers first of all this pawn chain and also this pawn on a3. So after queen to b3, I played the rook to e2, rook to c8, and now rook to e7. You see, now I just play much more more active with my pieces. I try to find the best squares for my pieces, so that's why rook to e7. After a5, here king to g2. After queen to d5, queen to f3. I don't mind to trade off the queens here, then the position is more simplified. I'm going into an endgame with one pawn up. So here after queen to c4, knight to e4. So now it's time to attack the pawns here, rook to d8, and now I played a very tricky move, d5. If queen takes d5, then knight to f6, attacking the king with the check, and discoverably attacking the queen. So this would be, I think, a lost game for black. You can try maybe bishop takes f6, queen takes, bishop takes e7, but I don't think that's a problem. So here it would be a lost game for black. So that's why after d5 we have f5, and here is one problem. After knight to g5, there is this move bishop to f6, and it seems that the knight or the rook is lost. So most of us would play knight to d2, but I was able to calculate very fast this position. After knight to g5 and bishop to f6, I have this counter attack. Rook to e6, because after bishop to g5, I have rook takes g6, and I'll take again this bishop, and I have gained again new pawn. So that's why here Zvonko didn't go for this knight. He played simply king to g7, and now maybe I thought about the move h4 to simply hang on to my knight here on g5, but it's not good. I found another idea. I played knight to h3. Now I want to find new squares for my knight, because if my opponent plays here g5 or similar ideas, then of course this f5 pawn is hanging. So I wanted to just improve the position of my knight somehow, because all of these other pieces are on perfect squares. The queen is on a very active squares, the rooks are creating this very powerful battery, so only this knight needs improvement. So that's why here knight to h3 with the preparation to play knight to f4, rook to f7, knight to f4, and now rook to d7, and I play now h4. The idea is now to simply play h5. If for instance b4, b5, then I have a very tricky move, h5. After b4, I have this move h6. It's very tricky. If you take, then I have queen takes h5. So that's why here Zvonko played, instead of this move b5, he played rook to e7, and I was a little bit low on time, so that's why I decided to take first the pawn, again improve, simplify the position. As I said, I'm a pawn up, I gained a new pawn, so that's why going into an endgame here I think is perfectly fine. It's also a strategical idea sometimes. You don't have to win always games very attractively. You can try simplifications. Is also a very powerful motif in chess. So here, after rook takes e2, queen takes e2, queen takes e2, knight takes an e2, and in this position Zvonko resigned because this pawn is also hanging. I can play again knight to f4, simply moving forward this pawn, and I think this is completely winning for white. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. It wasn't, I think, the most attractive one to watch, but I think it had some great strategical elements with this parry attack. I think after this move c5, keep in mind that don't go into flank attacks because your center has been attacked immediately. So you can basically, the flank attack you can only play when the center is fixed. So when that happens, it's okay to launch a flank attack. So that's why in this particular line I decided to castle on the king side, play a calm game, and I made this slight inaccuracy. Zvonko had the slightly advantage, but made this mistake in which I gained the pawn, and I played, I think, very actively with this improvements of pieces. So that's why I wanted to show you this game. So maybe in the next couple of videos I'll show you some more games. I played also against Agadmator. I played also against my brother. So I played also against strong FIDE masters. So I think it was a tough tournament for me because also great talented players played also. So I got 6.5 points out of the possible 9, and as I said, I was very happy because in this tournament I have never been in the top 3. So this was my first time, and I'm repeating myself a little bit. I'm sorry, but I was really happy for this success. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented chess games with some other games like from Magnus Carlsen and many more, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.